Don't know if it is. Zans, please let me confirm if the YouTube is up now. Okay, don't know if it's up yet. I'm waiting for the YouTube. So back to what I was trying to explain. Hello, okay, yes, it's back up. Thank you. So back to what I was trying to explain. You see, as a farmer, you are still at the bottom of the food chain. You are still at the bottom of the food chain, which is fine. What is bad is to stay there forever. If you take, when I'm done, try and study the poultry market in the US, the beef market in the US, UK. You will notice that the traditional real farmers are currently complaining. When was that they even had a riot? I think in Germany also. The reason is, you see, it is an illusion to assume that, because you are the one feeding the world, people should automatically give you respect, treat you better, and all of that. But you see, you need to understand that first, you are not the only food producer. Hey, gentle farmer, you are not the only food producer. People have options. So it means that the demand for farmer is not high because the supply is a lot. The demand for farmers is not high because the supply is a lot. So, as a farmer, I then need to ask myself, if there is a lot of supply, where I am right now is not an end point, is just a place to start. Oh, you are growing tomatoes, you are doing pepper, you are doing ginger, go to the market. People have options. Oh, farmer Sam, what if when the tomato is scarce? If I remember correctly, there was a time people started using cucumber to make stew. People have options. And where people have options, you don't have power. And where you do not have power, you cannot make money. And this is why you would say things like, oh, the banks are not willing to give farmers money. They would give every other person money except farmers. The reason is because the farmer has not built to the extent where they have power. And you cannot have power in smallness. You cannot have power in smallness. There is a need for capacity. So, as a farmer, I need to ask myself, what is the extent of value that I provide? What is value in this form? What is the extent of scarcity I can push? What is the extent of scarcity I can bring out? That's the question you need to start asking yourself. Why is it that a big commercial farmer can get loan? They have the power to produce scarcity. Because they have that power to produce scarcity, automatically they have the power to get digital money from banks. I will take it somewhere so you understand. Why is it that a lot of banks were still willing to borrow Alhaji Aliko Dangote money when he was building the refinery? He was going to, thank you, gentle farmer, he was going to come with a capacity that if he withholds, you all saw it, with the capacity he brought, he was able to bring down price of fuel. Every other importer of fuel at some point had to accept, right? Because of the capacity that he has. Because you see, with that capacity, he has power to produce glut and scarcity. He has power to produce glut and to produce scarcity with the power that he has. And because of that power that they saw he was building, he now has the power to get digital money. Let me ask you this question. If your farm closes today, what will be the impact in your local government economy? What will be the impact on your streets? What will be the impact on even households? When I say household, I'm not saying your personal house. Yes, you can feel it. How many houses will be affected because your farm closed down? What that simply means is what you are building is not yet big enough to have impact. So the value that is inherent in what you are building is not big. So because of that, digital money cannot come to you yet. That is why you will see a smallholder farmer. It's easy for you to borrow 100k, 200k. All those lower money are other people's deposit they are sending to you. Those are not real money. But when you need money that will change your life, change your destiny, move you to the next level, you need to start thinking different. Am I saying starting small is wrong? No, don't get me wrong. I am saying we need to start rethinking. How do I create something that has a larger value than myself, that people around can be affected? One of the biggest weapon farmers would have had, but for some reason they have abused it, is collaboration and cooperatives. Because you see, with the power of cooperative, you would have been able as 50, 100, 200 smallholder farmer carry power. I'll give you an example. I won't call the name of the institute. I know a financial institute that provided over almost $500 million for a set of poultry farmers in a particular local government. And why did they do that? Because they realized that since all these farmers were willing to come together as one, as that association was, and they are one of the largest producers of birds in that region, they automatically had control over the markets that they were supplying. So when they said they needed money, the bank understood this is control. This is power. This is a negotiation tool. This is a negotiation tool. So those farmers got access to that fund as a group. As a group. As a conglomerate, not a conglomerate, as a group, as a cooperative. And this is where a lot of farmers are making errors. You are trying to fight alone. That Ruth, good evening, on one hand. On the flip side, beyond what you are producing primarily, you need to start thinking, how do I add value? How do I add value? How do I add value? Very, very important. How do I add value to what I am producing? How do I add value to what I am doing? How do I increase the value of what I am producing? Because the reality is, we do not have issue with production in Nigeria. Yes, we have post-harvest losses, we have waste, we have this. We have an issue with processing. How do we add value? Because you see, as a company, banks would give you loan, digital money faster for processing than give you money for farming. And let me explain why. Remember what I said earlier. I'm trying to so you understand where I'm coming from. Remember what I explained earlier. A bank will give a real estate company money to go and start a real estate. Why? The real estate is able to convert money that did not exist, that was created digitally from thin air. They are able to convert that into physical property, something tangible. So a real estate can convert intangible to tangible. An oil block can convert oil in the ground to tangible fuel in whatever. And if for any reason they should default, they have built properties that they can hold on to. And if they succeed, they have created a system that will keep making money. Which means in the long run, when the value of that loan is being calculated, beyond the interest paid back, they have used maybe 500 million naira to build a real estate that will be there for another 50 years. And because that real estate is there for another 50 years, the value continues for 50 years. Does that make sense? But you want to collect money to grow tomato and pepper, to grow cucumber, to grow onions. The problem is, by the time that cycle is done, all the onions that you produce will be eaten and dropped in the toilet. All the tomato and pepper that was produced will end in the toilet. So there is nothing tangible that shows that this money once walked through earth. Because everything that money created has been used up. On one hand. Two, when they take money for real estate, by the time that real estate has been built, the value of that property appreciates astronomically. Meaning, let's say we bought the land for 200, even 1 million, and we put an estate on the 5 acres land. By the time we are done, you realize that the ripple effect of that is land in that area can automatically move to maybe 5 million per acre. You know what I mean? It can automatically move to maybe 5 million per acre. So there is a ripple effect because of that one money that was dropped. But we gave you money to run your farm. You have done a borehole. You bought drip tape. You bought this. The value of the land did not really jump up. So there is no ripple effect in what you need money for. 3 is asset transfer. The real estate, the oil block, the car rental company, the this, the that, if their businesses should fail, we can liquidate their business and have assets that can be transferred in the process of liquidation. In your own case, you have bought borehole, you have built the done borehole, did ridges, bought drip tape. If the business should fail, how do we transfer that? So you realize that in primary production, you are spending money on assets that they are needed, inputs that are needed, but in the case of failure are not transferable. You see, I don't know if you get where I'm coming from. So it means that I am in a sector, a celebrity farmer, good evening. I am already at a disadvantage in my push to try to raise funds already. So as a business person, what then do I need to start thinking? I need to start asking myself, yes, I am a farmer, but how do I get assets? Whatever business that you are doing, how do I build assets? You see, because asset is the bedrock for wealth. How do I build assets? How do I develop assets? Now, why is processing a pathway to assets? You cannot say you want to do proper processing without buying an equipment, Abi. And that equipment that you are buying becomes an asset. That is why you will hear things like Bank of Agriculture tell you, if you want to go into processing, we will fund you. And they will tell you, we are willing to pay for the equipment directly. We don't need to give you the money. What are they telling you indirectly? We can create money for you to get assets. But they will tell you when it comes to primary production, very few banks will tell you, okay, we can fund primary production, but only operations. What are they telling you? We are only willing to fund what will bring money back quickly. What will bring money back quickly. So as a farmer, you need to sit down and ask yourself, if not, we are going to have another 12 months that we pass, and you are just still in the same cycle. You do that again and again, and you are just thinking, okay, I need to expand my farm, I need to expand my farm. And in another 30, 40 years, you have expanded. But by the time you are tired, you don't have the strength to farm anymore, it feels like you did not really grow financially. Because the reality is, you were not building financial wealth, you were just expanding your operations and you were just getting busier. You were not really building your financial base. Now, back to where we started. Remember how we started? Money started because of trade by barter. That's where we started from. Trade by barter. Then they realized that trade by barter was not being, what's it called now? People were not always pleased. Both parties were not pleased. There were too many compromises. And they figured, let us create money as a way for exchange of value, one, and as a way to store value, two. Exchange and storage of value. But you see, the beautiful thing with economics is, economists will tell you that value is perceptive. Value is not tangible. Value is a perception. And value is a function of scarcity or availability. Value is a function of scarcity or availability. Yes, Precious Shine is on YouTube. It's on YouTube. Value is a function of scarcity or availability. Value. Which means the more, let me find another way to put it another way to make sense. Why is gold expensive? Why is gold expensive? The only reason gold is okay, let's say the only reason. One of the major reasons why gold is expensive is because it is scarce. Right? So, what's the word now? The scarcity of gold makes gold expensive. The scarcity of gold makes gold become expensive. The availability of a stone makes stone affordable. Why is salt not expensive? Salt is readily available. So the question then becomes, in this thing that I am doing, how do I push that I can create scarcity? If I cannot create scarcity, how do I create a perception of scarcity? How do I create a perception of scarcity? Let me explain that. While watching, I think it was a documentary or so, I realized that some of all these good big cars, is it Lamborghinis and all of that? I mean, in my poor mind, I thought if you needed to buy Lambo, you just go to the showroom and say, I need this car, you buy and you walk away. But I realized that no, when you want to buy those kind of cars, you place an order. The car is built for you from scratch. Built for you from scratch. So the reason that makes a Lamborghini expensive and a Toyota Corolla cheap is not just because of the parts. It is first because one is not readily available. They will need to build it for you. So if it needs to be built, I think there was a wristwatch, I can't remember the name of the wristwatch. There was a particular wristwatch I stumbled on the documentary online, and in the wristwatch they were saying you have to be approved to buy the wristwatch. Meaning the fact that I have money to buy the wristwatch does not mean I can buy it. They need to approve for me to be able to buy it. So that scarcity thinking, Poultry Farmer, thanks for joining. That thing where they are creating this concept of you need to be approved automatically now makes it more valuable. Automatically. Because it means that not everybody can own the wristwatch. Not everybody. So that they have created a pre-approval system automatically increases the value of the wristwatch. Automatically. So the question you need to start asking yourself is, what truly makes what you are doing valuable? Or what you are really doing, is it at the point of value yet? Or am I just playing at the point of market forces? Have I started differentiating myself yet? Or am I just at the point of market forces? Am I just at the point where market is what is deciding what I do, what I grow, how I grow, what I play in, how I play in it? Because you see, this requires deep thinking. That you need to really sit down and think it out. That you need to sit. Remember, I've taught us before that farming is for one of two things. You are either farming to multiply money, or you are farming to store money. You farming Echo Biopo, good evening, man. You are either farming to multiply your money, or you are farming to store your money. As a farmer, that's where you are. So I need to ask myself, this thing that I am doing right now, am I trying to multiply my money, or am I trying to store my money? If you come into agriculture without money, most likely you are trying to multiply your money. You are trying to grow your money very fast. And if the goal is to grow your money, you need to understand what mechanism am I using? At what point am I going to have enough money to go deeper or higher? Let me explain what I mean by to go deeper or higher for those that just joined. Remember, I said, for you to make real money in anything that you do, you are either going very deep into the earth, or you are going very high above the earth. Tell me any industry where people are making real good money, they are either deep into the soil, or high into the sky. E.g., you will say, oh, data economy. What is data economy? That moves with, what is it called, internet in space. That is high in the sky. The real people that are making the real money in data economies are the owners of the system that churns the data. The Facebook owners, the YouTube, the TikTok, the owners of these things are the ones making the real money. But they are high up in the sky. Data economy. Oh, telecommunications economy, high up in the sky. Oil economy, deep into the soil. Metal economy, that's whether gold, silver, whatever, deep into the soil. To make real money that you are looking for, you are either high in the sky or deep in the soil. So you realize that farming is something that is just shallow in the soil, or shallow. And that is why the money that you make as a tomato farmer, pepper farmer, cannot be compared to the money that somebody will make that is growing rubber, oil palm, cocoa. Reason is their own is deeper than tomato. Their roots are deeper. Because their roots are deeper, by default, they should make more money than you that your crop is shallow. But I can use my shallow rooted crop to multiply my money to get to deep-rooted crop. Use my deep-rooted crop, add processing to multiply my money to go for metals, to go for oil block, if I don't have money from the beginning. The problem is a lot of farmers have come into farming and they have taken a pause thinking they will build all their money from shallow-rooted crops. They have not devised a system, a means to realize that this place is for multiplication. It is different if you came in with a lot of money into agric and you are just coming here for the purpose of storage. We are not talking about other sectors, but I've also taken time to explain how they store money in other sectors. You are not coming for a food safety man. Good evening, man. You are not coming for the purpose of storage. You are coming for the purpose of multiplication. And if you are coming for the purpose of multiplication, you then need to understand how to multiply. You know, those of you that know me, you know that I like to use Bible to explain. I'm not too good at quoting Bible, so I will not try and quote. I will not quote it wrongly. But how many of us remember the story of Cain and Abel? You guys remember that story, Cain and Abel? Uncle Cain and Uncle Abel. Now, if you remember the story of Cain and Abel, you know that Cain killed Abel. Abi? And the Bible told us that after Cain killed Abel, the blood of Abel cried to God. Story for another day. And long story short, God cursed Cain. Abi? Then Cain negotiated with God and said, these curses you are putting on me is too much now. With these curses, once I go out, they will kill me. God now told Cain, don't worry, I'm promising you security. That is a conversation for another day. What is security? What do you need to succeed? You only need security. And I will explain what that security truly means. God said, I have put a mark on you, and anybody that sees this mark will not kill you, but anybody that kills you will get times 7 of your punishment. Long story. So, Cain, now remember that Cain was told he would be a vagabond. He's going to be a vagabond and he will be a wanderer all over the surface of the earth. But you would notice that after that negotiation with God, the Bible recorded that a vagabond, a wanderer, left the presence of God to a particular city or to a particular place. It's, I think, to the north side or south side of it, whether to the land of Nod, I can't remember, but he moved to a place. Now, this is it. One of the first things that Cain got or acquired was land. Abi? But remember that we know that Cain was a farmer. How do we know that Cain was a farmer? Not just a farmer, a crop farmer. Was because Abel brought from his livestock. So Abel was a shepherd, rearing animals. Cain brought from his crops, the ones that did not look so good. So Cain was a crop farmer. Abi? Now, Cain went back to doing his farming. I'm going somewhere. But if you study the story of Cain to the end, it was recorded that Cain got married, had a son, Enoch, had a wife, got pregnant, gave birth to a child called Enoch. Much more important than that, Cain built a city and named the city after his son. This is the point. Cain was a farmer who from farming entered into real estate. Meaning, as a farmer, he used the farm to multiply his money, to multiply his earnings, to multiply his income, to the extent that he was able to use that money to set up a real estate. That at the time that the Bible was concluding his story, Cain had built a real estate as an inheritance for his kids. So it was not that he farmed and died a farmer on his plot of land. This was somebody cursed by God who still built an estate. Not an estate, who built a city. Keyword, city. A city has different things inside that are running properly to make it a city and not a village. What am I saying, dear farmer? Look at what you are doing right now. How can you build a city out of it? I know that at least, even if you say you have ancestral curse, you are not cursed by God himself. Abi? God did not curse you. Your parents did not curse you, because I mean, based on human understanding, Cain's parents should have cursed him for killing their other son, Abel. You are not cursed by parents. You are not cursed by God. This farming that you were doing, the end of farming supposed to be minimum, build a city. But there needs to be a strategy to what you are doing. There needs to be a strategy. You cannot remain small in what you are building. You cannot stay small in what you are building. At some point, what you are building needs to grow. What you are building needs to increase. What you are building needs to start feeding into other things. Most importantly, you need to grow the value of what you are building. There needs to be a value growth, not just about expansion. You cannot be selling tomato to the same kind of customer for the past 10 years. The value is not growing, your market is just getting bigger. The value is not growing, your market is just getting bigger. You need to start targeting what is the next value proposition. At what point do I say, okay, I have captured enough markets? At what point can I go into the bank and the bank listens to me because they know what I control? At what point? Think about it. At what point? At what point? Thank you, Celebrity Farmer. Thank you, Farmer CK. At what point? You need to, again, I am not saying that being small is wrong, don't get me wrong. I am saying there needs to be a strategy in our being small. There needs to be a strategy so that gradually we start increasing our value, we start expanding our reach. Maybe in my next class, I'm going to discuss debt financing, because you are going to see, for you to grow, you need money. Ideas without money, you will just run mad. Ideas without money, you will just be frustrated. You need money. The money you need is not money of where 2 or 3 are gathered. You need real money to grow. But that real money that you need to grow is a money that does not put a chokehold on your neck, that still allows you breathe. But that money will not come to you if you don't have a leverage, and that leverage is value. That leverage is value. That leverage can come across as either the size of the market that you have, or the extent or the reach of your voice, or the revenue that you can generate, or the assets that you can hold or control. But you need leverage, and only you can build leverage for yourself. The market is not the one to help you build leverage. The market is not the one to help you build leverage. The market is not the one to start saying, okay, get bigger. No. That is on you. That is on you. So that you are able to attract a lot of funding to do a whole lot more with money. To do a whole lot more with money. In one of my earlier classes, remember where I was teaching that Your business needs to grow to a point where you give out an LPO, limited public offer. Think about it as a small business. How many times have you stood up and said, if only I can just raise 1 million, if only I can raise 5 million, if only I can raise 10 million? How many times have you heard people say, when you have small money, go and buy shares? Have you sat down to rethink what that shares is? When I say I want to go and buy shares and you buy shares of 2 million, guess what? You just gave that company 2 million naira to do their trading, to expand their capital base. The money you are giving to that company to buy shares is a money without a promise of returns. Hope you know that. That is why you need to grow big. Because that money you are giving to them to say, when Dangote announced that, I think he said by June, he is going to have his refinery available for people to buy shares. I know a lot of persons who today are saving money so that they want to buy shares. Think about it. How many people do you know that want to buy shares in Dangote refinery? Is it a bad move? No. But the flip side is, if we all buy shares in Dangote refinery has more money to do more things. They have more money to do more things. Yes, at the end they will pay dividend, but they are not going to pay dividend to the detriment of the success of the company called Dangote Refineries. This is why you need to grow big. Because you too can grow big and you say, okay, I'm selling my shares at 5 naira. And people are buying into your company and your company is getting money. Now you can start thinking, okay, what more can we do? You are not bereaved of ideas. Let me tell you this for free. You have not gotten to the limit of the ideas that you have. Because of no money in your pocket, your brain has started overthinking. Your brain has put a pause on possibility because there is no money to pursue the ones it has given you. 2, your brain is not thinking more for more ways to make money anymore, just because your brain has not been able to fathom to see the things that can still be. So you need to sit down and start drawing out strategy for your business. You need to increase value. You need to increase value. You can be more than where you are right now. You can make way more money than where you are right now. You can make way more money than where you are right now. Then if there is any question, I want to stop here. I need you to put in mind that despite the fact that we are in 2026, we are still in a world of trade by barter. It's just that the barter system carries an illusion of money. Why did I call it an illusion of money? Illusion of money because that money that you think, there is this money available, there is this available, it is a perception that determines the value of the money that you are getting. The money that you are getting is a perception of the value. It's a perception of the value. Hey, Maui's Farms, good evening, sir. So I don't know if there is any question. If not, if there's any question. If not, we'll just end the live. So all I'm saying is you need to be intentional. We need to be intentional. in trying to grow our revenues, in trying to grow our finance. Thank you, gentle farmer. We need to be intentional in our push to grow our finance. It does not happen. It does not happen randomly. It does not happen randomly. There is an intentionality. There must be an intentionality. There must be an intentionality. If you missed the class, or the conversation is just a conversation, you can check out the YouTube page. It's on my YouTube page. You can check out my YouTube page. Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining. Happy weekend. If you want to join TikTok to just join and chat, I will still leave TikTok on a bit.